Dive into the world of flavors and delight. Every drop brings health and fuels our fight. Coffee, the ultimate treat. Podcast takes the lead, where each brew inspires and plants the seed. Now let's explore curiously with our taste buds and ears, with every delightful sip with the host. Coffee, the ultimate treat.
G'day folks, and welcome back to Coffee, the Ultimate Treat. It's Kevin here, and as always, I'm joined by Brian. You know, we've touched on systemizing coffee operations in past episodes, and mate, today we're getting to the messy core. Why do so many brilliant small coffee businesses fall flat when it comes to actually following their SOPs? I'm talking about those daily checklists and processes you've probably printed out and stuck on the wall, but somehow half the team doesn't even notice them. Why's that?
Hey everyone, Brian here. Honestly, it's one of those chronic pain points. What I keep seeing, and I've experienced it firsthand consulting for digital-first coffee brands, is that a lot of these owners use ready-made templates, maybe like the coffee shop SOP docs we talked about before, right? They're super beginner-friendly. But even with these, you get staff who skim, zone out, or just plain ignore the checklist. Sometimes it's too much paperwork. Sometimes the onboarding isn't clear. I mean, is it a training issue, or is it just information overload?
Yeah, that's spot on. I remember back in my first cafe, crikey, it was chaos in the mornings. We had a closing checklist meant for the openers, which makes no sense in hindsight. But that's what happens when documentation piles up with no logic behind it. Staff would see a sheet that said clean espresso nozzles and just tick the box without doing it. So the next day, you're wondering why the steam smells faintly of burnt milk. Where was I going with this? Oh right, the real problem's often not the system, but how you roll it out. You can have checklists for everything, but if no one knows where they are or what they're for, it's just wall art.
Exactly. That ClickUp SOP template is actually good for centralizing. At least you know where everything lives and it can be tailored. But if staff aren't trained or the instructions are overwhelming, you fall into that loop. I've seen case studies where shops adopt digital checklists but still miss daily goals. They set ambitious targets, then nobody owns the results. Does that resonate with what you see, Kev?
Yeah, mate. It's not just the platform, it's the transition. The bridge between the well-designed doc and the team's daily habits is rickety, let's say. If you don't address how people actually work or train, those SOPs don't stand a chance. Sometimes you've got to accept that there's a gap and put yourself in their shoes. Heck, I missed it myself for years.
Which brings us to the big question, what works? There's no magic bullet, but digital onboarding tools like Gusto and Trainual, they're making waves. They've got videos, quizzes, and step-by-step guides. They can assign the right modules to new baristas, track their progress, all of that. And the digital scheduling apps let you see at a glance who's responsible for what routine task every shift. Makes it hard to dodge, frankly.
Too right. But if tech's not your thing, simple tools matter. We're talking visual SOP boards, preset service kits, or heck, even color-coded checklists on the espresso machine for opening and closing. Don't underestimate that stuff. I always say, never let tech get in the way of a good sticky note. But seriously, a checklist can be a lifesaver as long as it's tailored. I reckon a one-size-fits-all doc just gets ignored. Streamline it for your setup and your staff.
Here's a quick example. I introduced an automated checklist app, nothing fancy, but with notifications and auto reminders, to a client's specialty cafe. Before that, tickets got mixed up and simple tasks were forgotten. After we rolled it out, their daily order accuracy spiked, and you could literally see the stress levels drop. People stopped nagging each other because everyone could see the checklist, tick tasks off in real time. I think the key is immediate feedback especially with staff who are used to their phones. You got to meet them where they are.
That rings true. Whether you use an app or a handwritten board, the solution needs to fit how your crew actually works day to day. And, I might be wrong here, but if you give folks a say in tweaking those checklists, suddenly they're more into following them. I've seen it in my shops. You let your team help streamline the routine, and the whole vibe lifts.
Absolutely. Digital or analog, the adoption skyrockets when it's relevant, accessible, and doesn't bog people down. That's honestly where most of the gains come from.
Something I've noticed over the years is that mentorship and hands-on coaching, not just digital solutions, can totally change the game for new shops. Some of my favourite memories are in those early weeks of coaching a brand new team, honestly. I remember guiding a coffee truck startup through their first launch week. Small group mentorship, daily voice chats, SMS check-ins. The result? Their open routines hit 30% better consistency by Friday. You just can't replace that peer support and accountability from people who've been there before.
Yeah, and it's not just about boosting routines, it's about community. I've seen mastermind groups work well, especially for new coffee startups that don't want to go it alone. Sharing what's actually happening on the floor, the mistakes, the small wins, keeps people grounded. You get accountability buddies, you get ideas, and it's less intimidating for folks to ask questions. Plus, if you can swap SOP templates or checklists, even better.
You know, involving frontline staff in peer-to-peer groups, letting them share best practices, and getting them to hold each other to account. That's more powerful than another PowerPoint or 80-page doc. When people feel that sense of collective ownership and see others buying in, they're much more likely to stick with it themselves.
And if you package all that into an operations consultancy, it adds a layer of professional guidance without feeling top down. We flagged this a bit with JellyPod in episode 4, right? Making knowledge, sharing scalable and more personal at the same time. Ultimately, you want your team learning from each other and feeling supported, not just handed another PDF to read on their break.
All right, let's bring it home. If you want SOPs to actually stick, you got to build a culture that lives and breathes them. For me, that started with regular team check-ins, not just talking about sales or tips, but what's going wrong in the routines. We'd bring up SOPs directly, not to shame, but so folks could explain their pain points or confusion. That alone made a world of difference because it kept procedures top of mind and got real feedback flowing.
Yeah, and looping your staff in on the improvement process, absolute gold. When you set up a channel, could be a chat board or quick idea box where they can suggest tweaks to procedures, they take real ownership. That's what we heard from those Bean Ninjas case studies, right? It's not about perfection, it's about engagement and evolving with the business.
Spot on, mate. You start recognizing and rewarding staff who consistently follow SOPs. Could just be a quick mention at a team meeting, a coffee voucher, whatever. Suddenly, you're not fighting to get people to do the basics. They're proud of it. That's when you know it's working.
I love that. And as with most things in coffee, from brewing a top cup to running a great shop, it's the consistent little things that add up over time. This isn't just about rules. It's about building a routine everyone trusts and even enjoys, right?
Couldn't have put it better. So folks, if you're listening and feeling overwhelmed by SOPs or wondering why your systems aren't landing, just remember, start small, invite feedback, and keep things human. That's what turns a checklist into the backbone of your business.
That's a wrap for today, everyone. We hope you're taking away some practical tips you can implement straight away, whether you're running an espresso bar, a roastery, or something in between. Kev, always a pleasure.
Always, mate. Thanks for tuning in. We've got more actionable coffee business wisdom coming in future episodes, so don't forget to subscribe. Catch you later, Brian.
See you next time, Kevin. Take care, folks, and keep brewing better routines.
Thanks for tuning in, it's really sweet. Your ears too were quite the treat. Sipping knowledge in every beat. We hope you found it hard to retreat. Community bonds we hold so tight in the dark roast or morning light. Gathering stories brave and bold, every listener pure gold. Thank you from the host. Coffee, the ultimate treat.